Hey everyone, you're live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey. This month I am continuing bringing in guests to honor the men and women of service. So today I have with me Jane, and let me just tell you a little bit about Miss Jane. We met each other at So Central here in Merritt Island, and we have been pretty much dear friends now since that time. And so I thought that she will be a very good person to bring on because of her military background and also her personal experiences of life that would definitely bless you guys out there in the listening land. So, hey Jane.
Hey Opal, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. I'm glad that you're here today.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jane, as Opal told you. And presently I'm living in Merritt Island. Have been there now for 15 years or so. Prior to that, I was in Orlando. And prior to that, I lived where I was born, which is Bermuda, the island of Bermuda, which is in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, 21 miles long by 1 mile wide.
So did you move here from Bermuda for as military or just family move? How did you get to Brevard
I moved here
County?
because I wanted to get off the island. It's very small, 21 by 1. We have a saying down there saying, okay, it's rock fever time. We just got to go. So I decided I would go, and I ended up applying for my American citizenship. And come to find out, after filling out about 800 sheets of paper to try and get my green card over here, found out that I was already an American citizen because my mother was an American citizen and never lost her citizenship. So I was American the whole time.
So are you the only child?
No, I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
I got 2 sisters and a brother.
So how did you get into the military? Did you have a family line of military or?
No, not really. I guess when I was growing up into like my 20s and so 20s and 30s, I was part of a woman can do anything. Anything she puts her mind to. And lots of times when I got on this subject or this role, you might say, a lot of my male friends would say, oh yeah, you're such a woman. You can't get into the Army. I said, if they allowed me in the Army, I would sign up. So I opened the newspaper one day and found out that they were now going to allow women in the Army. So the first thing I did was put my name down.
And so what year was this?
Oh my God, that's a long time ago. About 35 years ago.
Wow. So was this something normal? This wasn't a normal thing to allow women during that time.
There were no women in the Army. They had men only. In fact, it was really strange because once we got in there, the women, they only allowed 12 women in. We were the test to see how it would work. And there were hundreds of women that applied, and they only chose 12. So I feel very honored that I was one of the very first 12 in the Army. Mm-hmm. One of the strangest things was, though, the sergeant majors, those are the ones who yell and scream and curse at all the guys. Mm-hmm. Well, basically, Bermuda men are pretty respectful of women, and they didn't know how to yell, scream, and curse at the women. So even though we were Army people now, not women out in the street, these guys couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. They treated us too nice as far as the head honchos thought. Mm-hmm. So they had to end up going to Jamaica and bringing in women from Jamaica to train us.
And so how was that? That was like from a night and day kind of training.
Yeah, it was. She was tough, but she was fair. But we were treated like the men were. There was no difference because they have men and women in Jamaica, the Jamaica Defense Force. Mm-hmm. So we were not coddled or anything. I mean, we got down and dirty.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I did a lot of things in the Army that I never dreamt I would ever do. And we did them and did them fine. You know, women can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I always believed that.
So was it that because of the like a dare kind of thing with the guys that you did it, or something?
Well, yes, in a way, because I figured now I have to
show them off.
Show them off now. You know, I've been saying for years. My mouth has been saying for years that I would join the Army if they allowed us in there. The only reason I'm not there is because they won't allow me there. So when it came up that you're now allowed and you have to apply to get in there, I figured, oh, well, I better get moving and apply.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel being away from family for the first time?
It was a little bit different. I had 2 kids as well.
Okay.
I was a single mother at the time and had 2 children, but they were well looked after by my parents, who lived just around the bend from me. So they carried on their life as normal. They just didn't have mom there all the time. Mm-hmm. When I was doing my basic training. And then and our training is a little bit different over there than it is here. We did a basic training for a few weeks. And then we reported once or twice a week during the week, and then some weekends, a couple times a month on the weekends, full weekends.
So were your training continually throughout that? How was your?
Yes.
Okay.
It was continually. I started out in my branch, you might say, or my section. What I did was I worked for B Company, and I was their liaison, and that was fun because I got to know a lot about the Army, things that was really none of my business, but because it had to go through the company, I got to know about. And then I did that for about a year, and then I was transferred to intelligence, which, again, was awesome. We did a lot of training as well in Jamaica. They flew us to Jamaica for training, which was a whole other thing. You know, I'm used to the island life, and I went to Jamaica, and we lived in the hills, basically.
So how did you adjust to such a different change?
I had to. That's why I did. Mm-hmm. It's so much different when, you get up in the morning when I was at home and you get yourself all prettied up, get ready to go to work, the high heel shoes and the cute skirt and type things. And here I was running around in Army boots and fatigues and pants that didn't fit because they didn't make them for women. Mm-hmm. So that was different. And you didn't have time to stop and think, oh, my God, do I need to touch my lipstick up?
Right.
It wasn't time for that.
So how was your interaction with the men? Were y'all together or you were just a separate?
At first, we were separate. Mm-hmm. They trained just the women alone. And that lasted probably about maybe 6 months or so. And then we were dispersed into different sections with the men.
Mm-hmm. How was your typical day in basic training and your training, getting up in the morning?
Yeah, getting up very early in the morning and getting ready, throw those boots on again, those socks, and we started out running around, running on the beach. Not fun in Bermuda when you got all those clothes on, you're running in the heat with all those heavy clothes. But it was good. I mean, we had like 40-pound knapsacks on most of the time running around. We had to experience what it's like to get hit by tear gas. And what they did was we were in a big hall, and they made us run around in this hall and run around till we would drip, no air conditioning, till we were dripping wet. And then all of our pores were open. Then they dispersed the tear gas. And that stuff burns.
Oh, wow.
It burns.
So how was that? Everything with that? How did it go?
We managed. We made it just as good as the guys did. There wasn't anybody who kind of fell behind. The women were good. They really were good. And if you met those women, you'd probably think, "Oh no, she'd never be in the Army," because all of the women that was in the 12, we were all educated, all had great jobs. Some had families, some didn't, and but we managed just because we wanted to be there. We really didn't want to be there. And that's why we were there, because we applied to be there. We were hoping that our name would get chosen.
So was it mainly, I mean, I know you wanted to be there, but did it also help you with your attitude being there to help you get through?
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you what, in Bermuda, everybody's late. Everybody's late. It's just a common thing. If you want somebody to arrive at your house at 5 o'clock, then you tell them they need to be there by 4, because by 5 they might be there. Well, it taught me to be on time, because there was no messing with the time. When they said time, it meant serious time.
So it kind of helped you with build your character. And
it did help me build my character. It gave me a lot of confidence. One of the things I did, which I never dreamt I would ever do, is I went abseiling off a cliff in Jamaica. And the first time I did it, my sergeant said to me, "Remember, when you go over this cliff, keep your legs open." Okay? I said, "Okay, I got it." Well, it's very nerve-wracking, to say the least, that you know there's a cliff there, and you're going to walk backwards until you get to that cliff, and you're just going to go over. And you got to have those legs open. Otherwise, you will tumble, which is exactly what I did. So now I'm tumbled because now I'm in the wrong position, and I had to get myself back up in the right position and get down this mountain, this cliff.
Wow.
So when I got to the bottom of it, I was like, okay, I'm going back up and do it again, because I want to make sure that this time I didn't tumble. You know, but it gave me a lot of confidence that I could really do anything.
And so from there, where you go, what else were?
My basic training was like on the weeknights that I was in Army, because I worked during the day. I owned my own company back then, and Army started in the evening normally, except for the weekends. Started in the evenings, and I would get dressed. I'd go to the Army, and we would do whatever we had to do, whatever was scheduled for us to do. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes it was marching. Sometimes it was sitting around doing nothing much. Most of the times it was just a lot of work. But you learn to tolerate it all. It really is amazing. You have to experience it to really understand what I'm saying. It was such a great feeling mentally that I was this person, this new person who could do anything. It just gave me that confidence that anything in the world I wanted to try, I could do.
So how did you progress in the military?
Well, we started off, of course, as corporal. As a private. And then we went to, our first gig up was Lance Corporal, and then a corporal. And I actually finished off as a corporal. I did 3 years in the Army, which is what I had to do. I really wanted to stay, but I really also knew I had children, so I couldn't stay there like that forever. Had I not had children, I might have made a career out of it. And some of the girls did make a career out of it. Some of them are still in there. The same girls that I went in with.
So in the military during that time, were they more into family togetherness, or they were, not too family conscious?
The answer to that was you'd be told, you're now a soldier. You're not a mommy. You're a soldier. And that's what came first.